Good morning, kiddos. Today I want to again go over with you predicting products of acid-base reactions. On my copy there was a bit of a formatting problem. I don't know why, but the arrow on my copy appears as an R in a circle. So this should be an arrow right here instead of that R. So just disregard the R's and it's supposed to be an arrow. I don't know why it shows up as an R on my copy, but you have this exact same copy. You have this exact same thing. Try and only watch this video for a couple of examples and then go back to your copy and try to do the rest on your own. That would be very, very good practice, and then come back to the video to see if you got it right. That would be really good practice for you. Please ignore any background noise you hear. My son is watching Blaze and the Monster Machines. And away we go. So this first one, we have sodium hydroxide and hydrogen phosphate. And you know all acid-base reactions are going to make salt and water. I'll give you a hint. This one is the water, which means that the blank, that's going to be the salt. So what is the salt? Well, the hydroxide and the hydrogen, those make the water. So the sodium and the phosphate are going to come together to make the salt, right? So which one goes first, the sodium or the phosphate? Which one goes first? It's going to be the sodium. Remember, the positively charged ion goes first. So periodic table, that one's +1. And the star chemistry reference materials tells us that phosphate is -3. Okay, so we have +1 sodium, -3 phosphate. So when we crisscross, we're going to come up with Na3PO4. That's going to be our salt. Now, you're going to have a quiz over this. I don't care about balancing. You don't have to know the name of these salts. Just for the purposes of the quiz, the focus is very, very narrow. Just know the correct formula. Know how to get the formula of the salt. Okay, so let's do another one. So again, this one's the water. And then our salt is going to be over here. Our salt is going to be over here. So what is going to make the salt? Remember the hydroxide, the OH, and the H make the water. So the remaining ions, which is the iron and the chlorine, they're going to make the salt. So we have to know the charges. Now, in this case, the charge of iron, it's not in a regular group, so it doesn't have a set charge. The charge of iron can vary. It can be +2, +4, +3, +1. It can vary just depending on what it's in a compound with. So here's what we have to do. We have to infer its charge based on what it's in a compound with. It's in a compound with hydroxide. Hydroxide is -1, and it takes 3 -1 charges to balance out the charge of iron. Remember, the charge of iron and the combined charges of hydroxide, they have to equal 0. So if I have 3 -1s, okay, and we add these to whatever charge iron is, what does the charge of iron have to be to get those to equal to 0? It has to be +3. So we have +3 iron, and then chlorine does have a set charge, -1. So +3 iron, -1 chlorine. Our formula, FeCl3 for the salt. FeCl3 for the salt. And of course, hydroxide is base, and hydrogen in the front there, that's our acid. Okay, so there's our formula for the salt. Let's keep going. First off, which one's our base, which one's our acid, which one is the water, which one is the salt? Hydroxide, okay, base. Hydrogen, acid. We are writing the formula for the salt, and of course, H2O is our water. So let's figure out our formula here. Potassium and SO4. +1, -2. Crisscross the charges. So the 2 becomes the subscript after the K. And then SO4 is going to have a subscript of 1, but we don't write the ones, so that just remains as SO4. One thing I want to point out here, okay? Some students will make the mistake of putting K2SO1. Don't do that. Don't do that. That is wrong. Wrong, okay? That 1 stays as a 4. It stays as a 4. Don't change it. If I needed to put another subscript, let's say that potassium wasn't +1. Let's say it was +3. If I needed to put another subscript, I would put this in parentheses, leaving the 4 alone, and then putting the other subscript on the outside. Okay? So be careful with that. That 4 stays as is. Stays there. So we have our first page complete. Your copy, this is all on one page, but like I said earlier, I don't know why, but there were some formatting errors on mine when I put it in this program, and it split it up on 2 pages. But your copy just has 1 page. So these final 3 problems, they're both blank. They're both going to be blank, but that's okay, right? We can do this. Acid, we know that because there's hydrogen in front. And base, I know that because there's that hydroxide in the back. Now, automatically, I'm just going to write my water here, H2O, because I know that one of my products is going to be water, and the other product will be salt. Acid-base reactions always make water and salt. Okay, so let's see here. All right, there we go. All right, there we go. So let's see here. So which 2 ions are going to form my salt? I have lithium and chloride. +1 lithium, -1 chloride. Okay, so which one goes first? Don't get into the habit of just putting whatever's first in the equation to be the first one in your formula. Don't get into that habit, okay? That's wrong. How do we know what goes first? The positively charged ion always goes first. Positive one goes first. In this case, lithium. Lithium chloride. There it is. Easy cheesy. Nothing to it. Okay. So here's another one. Again, hydrogen in the front means acid. Hydroxide in the back means base. And this is always going to give us salt and water. Salt and water. So I can just put in my H2O right now. So let's go back over here. Okay. So I have cesium and nitrate. If we look on the periodic table, we will see that cesium has a +1 charge. Nitrate has a -1. So again, it's just a 1-to-1. Okay, they cancel each other out. +1 goes first. CS NO3. Easy cheesy, lemon squeezy, nothing to it. So we have our last one. And again, we have our last one. Okay, so one more time. Hydrogen in the front means acid. Hydroxide in the back means base. And we're going to write our formula for the salt and water. So we have H2O for our water. Okay, now our salt. Again, let's look back. What ions make our salt? We have bromide and potassium. +1, -1. And again, I will caution you, don't automatically think that because bromine is first in the equation, that it goes first in the formula. Don't do that. You'll get it wrong. Don't do that. Again, how do you know which one goes first? It's the positively charged ion. So potassium is going to go first, followed by bromine. No subscripts because potassium's +1, bromine's -1. They cancel each other out. Okay, so like I said earlier, try to do a couple of these on your own and then come back to the video to see if you're right. Okay, this is practice. Tomorrow we're having a quiz over writing the formula for the salt that gets formed. It's a very narrow focus. You're not going to have to balance or write the names or anything. Just write the formula of the salt that gets formed. Okay, as far as a quiz tomorrow, that's all you need to know. Alrighty. And that being said, happy Tuesday.